Welcome to GDS089 JavaScript 1. My name is Curtis Pembroke and I'll be your instructor for the course. If you haven't done so already, please make sure that you print the syllabus so you have a hard copy to follow along during this video and that you have a record for your own purposes. As I mentioned, my name is Curtis Pembroke. I've been with Mission College about 20 years. And I teach in graphic design and computer applications. You can reach me via email or via phone, but primarily you can reach me via Canvas by posting questions to the questions forum if it's a question about an assignment or something in the reading or in the labs, or if it's a question of a personal nature, by all means, of course, email me. GDS089 is completely online. It is not a hybrid course. So everything that we do will be asynchronous. That basically means that we will not have many required face-to-face meetings. Once in a while, I will make myself available for review or for one-on-one meetings via office hours via Zoom. Otherwise, most everything that we will do will be covered via the online lectures, which are videos that you need to watch, and via discussion forums that you need to participate in and that are graded. Please make sure that you complete all of the items in the orientation, like the quiz and the surveys, by the 12th of February, or you will be dropped. And that's because I have to report my official enrollment by the 3rd week of the semester. And if for some reason you're not completely checked in, then I have to drop you so that we don't inadvertently count you and report your attendance for the state of California. Some students will check into a course and not complete all the requirements, and so you need to check in and complete all of the items, the graded items in the orientation by the 12th. If for some reason you can't, send me an email or call me at extension 5275. As we move along in the syllabus, I list some important dates that you can note on your own. I'm not going to make it reading by Curtis. They're just listed there so you're aware of some important deadlines for the semester. These things are also listed in the catalog, schedule of classes, and our website. So GDS089, this is an introductory course on using JavaScript. JavaScript is quite a prolific language now. When I started using JavaScript, I started using it in graduate school in 1999, and in those days, it was the language that all real coders hated. And I used it and learned bits of it because I was learning to use Flash to develop e-learning. Flash had just come out, and Flash had its own language called ActionScript that was based on JavaScript. JavaScript today is used for both front-end development and back-end development, which back in the 90s, had you told me that it would be used for things like back-end development and scripting on the server, I would have said you're nuts. In this course, you're going to get an introduction to JavaScript. I want to be clear, this is an introductory course. The advanced course is taught by CIS, and GDS has proposed a new advanced course that we're trying to get through curriculum that will be approved. This course will just introduce you to the language and give you the core skills that you need to go to the next level in your JavaScript coding and web development experience, so that you can learn things like Node.js. You can dive a little bit deeper into JavaScript libraries like jQuery or React. And so we're going to cover the basics like working with data types and different data types and variables, arrays, and objects. You'll get an introduction to DOM scripting and then debugging your code. Then we'll move on to some intermediate topics like advanced objects. We'll work a little bit with forms. We'll do that kind of early, very simple forms, JavaScript's events, and then dynamic scripting, of content. We'll take a look at web storage and the concept of cookies and web storage, and then you'll get an introduction to Ajax and JavaScript libraries. In fact, those last 4 items, cookies, web storage, and Ajax and JavaScript libraries, will just be an introduction because the second courses go into more details of those things. In terms of course outcomes, when you're done, you'll know the basics of JavaScript, and you'll be able to create some interactive content like rollovers, slideshows, dynamic menus. You'll be able to look at code and kind of figure out what it does. And that's one of the best ways to learn, is to either make something or look at someone else's code. Since this is an introductory course, and I know a lot of you will come over with C programming or Python, and the first few weeks are going to be pretty painful to you because what you learned in Python and C looks very close to what you see in terms of the syntax of JavaScript. But we do have about half the class that are designers with no programming experience. So we have every semester these 2 desperate audiences. And so what I want to do is rely on those of you that are experienced to help with those that are inexperienced. And as we move along in the course, by the time we get to working with objects and object-oriented, we'll all kind of be on the same page. Our textbook is JavaScript for Kids, which is a playful introduction to programming, and it's built around JavaScript. Now, the title is deceiving because this is one of the best books written for JavaScript in a long time. It introduces the principles in a playful and fun way, and this book has been reviewed by lots of adults saying that it's very useful. For those of you that have more experience with programming, a good book that I would recommend is JavaScript's Absolute Beginner's Guide by Kipra, and it's so hard for me to pronounce his last name that I don't even try, but it's a really good book, and he has a website, and if you've come with prior Python or C programming experience, his book would be a good reference. Another one which is excellent but getting kind of out of date is JavaScript and jQuery, an interactive front-end web development by John Druckett. This is a great book. The thing is that you need a very solid foundation in HTML and CSS3 to get through his book, because his examples are fairly detailed and complex. And so if you are just learning CSS and HTML, it'll be hard to understand his book, particularly after about chapter 5. But these are optional books. For now, we'll start with this textbook. If you have Python or C programming experience, then kind of just muddle through it. I will give you challenging exercises that you can maybe spice up a little bit and then share what you do with your peers. In terms of assignments, there are 12 lab exercises worth 240 points. We have participation that I talked about earlier, which is the discussion forums. We have a midterm project, which is really just a check-in project, something very, very simple to make sure everyone's on task. And then a final exam and final project, which basically I just want you to make something, a single page that utilizes JavaScript, something very, very simple that you can utilize your knowledge of JavaScript. And we'll talk about that some more later, just something very simple. In terms of grading, it's very straightforward. You have an A in my course. As long as you do the work, you'll pass. I look at effort, not perfection. It is absolutely essential that you participate and communicate, particularly because this is an online course. Research tells us that students that communicate and collaborate online tend to stay in the courses. So every week, you need to post something to the debugging forum. You need to either post or comment to one or more of your classmates. If you don't have any questions to post to the questions forum, then post some thoughtful information about something you've learned that's related to what we're discussing. I want to be clear about this. If you're an advanced coder, I don't want you going rogue and exploring deeper subjects in week 3 than what we're discussing. And that happens a lot almost every semester. Like if you're an experienced programmer, then you're going to know something about immediately invoked functions, or what's called IIFE. I had a student bring up that topic in the 3rd week of class, and it scared the heck out of everybody. Don't do that. If you get impatient and you feel like you're more advanced for this class, then either I can give you something else to do. We won't explore or have a separate class. I might give you another chance to work on a project or something if you feel ready for that. Or you might want to wait until the advanced course is offered. The schedule is very straightforward, shows by week the topics we'll be covering. And the labs are generally due a week after I make them available in Canvas, but I provide everyone with a 48-hour extension on all assignments. So if something is due, say on February 15th, then you can turn it in as late as the 17th, and I will not take off any points. The rest of the information in the syllabus is very straightforward. It's there. College requires that we include it. Read through it. So it includes some valuable information on services and policies. If you have any questions about the syllabus, post your questions in the questions forum. That's the other reason why we have the questions forum. Students tend to have the same questions. And so if you post your question in the forum, it's sort of like raising your hand in the regular classroom, and the odds are your peers will have the same question. I can answer it. If you have a question of a personal nature, that's when you're going to email me and let me know about that question, and I will answer it and not have the whole class see the answer or the question. Again, welcome to GDS089, and thank you for taking the course. I look forward to working with you this semester, and hopefully we'll all get our shots, and maybe we can see each other face to face just for fun before the end of the semester.